Today we have the opportunity to have our colleagues from La Ley Laboral. That's what I usually call it, labor law. It's simple. The name, I'm sure, is more complex. So I want to welcome Attorney Yesenia de Luna and the investigator, Karen Santana. Both of you I've known for years now, and I've always appreciated that you take some time around this time of the year, because soon there will be harvest in Sonoma County, for that, the grapes and so on and so forth. And today we also have Jaylee Quiroz, who is joining us to have a dialogue about labor law. So the first question then is, what is labor law? I'm not sure who wants to take this question, but I think it's important for people to even understand that your organization exists and is there to support the community.
Yes, of course. And thank you again for having us. And I'm Karen Santana. Like you mentioned, I'm the field investigator for the Santa Rosa office. And our name is quite complex, but the Agricultural Labor Relations Board, also known as the ALRB for short, is our state agency that carries out the mission of the Agricultural Labor Relations Act, which is a California state law that protects the rights of agricultural workers. These all started back in 1975 through the great effort and struggle of the agricultural workers and their supporters amid much labor strife in the California fields that included worker strikes, boycotts, pickets, violence against workers, etc. So California enacted this law and created this state agency for that purpose. For the first time, this state law established the right of farm workers to collectively bargain in California. It is a unique law since the only other state in the US that has a similar law like ours is New York. Our headquarters is in Sacramento, but we have different field offices in 5 California cities, including Salinas, Santa Rosa, Oxnard, Visalia, and Indio. And you can reach any of our offices by calling us at our 1-800-449-3699. Again, that number is 1-800-449-3699.
Definitely. And again, it is one of the things we were mentioning in Spanish a few minutes ago. It is essential for people to recognize that this is not a guarantee agency that exists in every state of the United States. Again, you mentioned California and New York, and it's important that people understand this is where your tax money goes, right? And this is where it should go, for people to fight for your rights in labor. And so who specifically is considered an agricultural worker? That is another thing that people have asked in the past. Am I covered under this law?
Yeah, so we serve all agricultural workers in the state of California, regardless of their immigration status. And that includes H-2A workers, those employed by a company, whether it's directly or through a farm labor contractor. And you are considered an agricultural worker if, for example, you are a field worker, you harvest, you prune, you spray, you're a tractor or forklift driver in the fields, you're a dairy worker, honeybee keeper, sheep herder, a packing house worker, although not all packing houses, but some of them do. But if you're unsure if you're an ag worker, just give us a call and we'll be happy to help you. And our number again, it's 1-800-449-3699.
Definitely. And again, when I first learned about labor law, I assume it was mainly for people who work directly working with the grapes. And then as we got to know each other and you all started coming to the show here on KBBF, we started learning that it protected a larger amount of people. And this also became important during the 2017 fires because too many people were being affected and they didn't know the rights. And that brings me also as to what protections does an agricultural worker have under labor law, under this specific law?
Yes, thank you. My name is Yesenia de Luna. I'm Assistant General Counsel here in our Santa Rosa office. I wanted to add one more that's kind of important to who qualifies as an ag worker. It comes up a lot recently now, and that's cannabis. trimmers or growers that are in either outdoor or in the greenhouses. And that's definitely, they are also considered agriculture workers under our law. But so what are the rights? What are the rights that agriculture workers have under this California state law? Well, they have the right to collectively complain about a working condition. That means 2 or more workers complaining about something, or it means one agriculture worker that goes and speaks on behalf of the group. They have the right to support or to be against the union, and they have the right to participate in the legal process with the ALRB. If somebody files a charge and we are investigating, workers have the right to speak to us without retaliation. And then the last one, which is important, agriculture workers have the right to decide not to do any of these things. You don't have to do any of this. It's your choice. So agriculture workers can join together to speak up about any working condition and request changes to that working condition from their employer. The request can be made again in a group of 2 or more, or the workers can discuss their concerns and then pick a single worker that's going to voice that concern. Some of the very common concerns that we hear about is just requesting higher wages, requesting that workers be treated with respect, or access to drinking water, bathrooms, or any other health and safety concern in the fields. So you have these rights to speak up, and where the law is violated is if your employer takes some kind of retaliation against you, punishes you in some way for speaking up, either the group or just the person that spoke up, or maybe they just decide to pick on one worker for whatever reason. If you have any questions about this, give us a call. Again, the number 1-800-449-3699, 1-800-449-3699. I have an example that I wanted to give to you. I've just stated all these rights, but how does it actually work out in the fields? So this is a case about a crew of about 25 workers. They were harvesting spinach. They were harvesting spinach. And on this day, it was a very cold and foggy, rainy day, which was making the working conditions unsafe. The workers were cold. It was wet and slippery and muddy, and they're working with sharp knives to cut the spinach. So it was with it being so slippery, it was very difficult and dangerous for them. So they decided to stop. They said, we can't work under these conditions. They went home. They came back the next day. When they returned, they were disciplined. One of them was suspended without pay, and another one received a verbal warning. And then after that, their supervisor became very hostile towards the crew. A couple months later, about 3 months later, actually the charging party, the person that filed the charge, he asked permission to go deal with a family emergency. And this is a general thing, a standard thing that usually the company would allow you. It's a family emergency, you gotta go. But this time they denied his request. And it was because of his participation in that day when they stopped working. But he went anyway. He had to deal with this, so he went. When he tried to come back to get rehired, they said, no, we don't need any more workers. But the records that we got showed that they were hiring workers. There was a need for workers. They were just retaliating against this gentleman because he walked out on that one day. So this went to the judge, and it went to the board. They both found that there was a violation of the workers' rights. And so the remedies that we were able to get in this case we call it make whole. So you make the worker whole for whatever money they lost. So the worker that was suspended that one day without pay, he got that money back. The worker that they refused to rehire, whatever money he lost, he got back. We also, the disciplinary warnings that got put on their records because they walked out on that day, on that cold, rainy day, those were removed from their record. And a very important remedy is what we call noticing. So we get permission to go on the field and read a notice to all the workers. The notice says what happens in the case, what happened in that case, and then it states the rights that I have stated already. These are your rights, and then it has all of our information, phone numbers. So we read that to the workers, we post it throughout the place, whether it's a vineyard or wherever it is that they're working. And then we also mail that notice. So that notice will eventually reach the workers so that they know what happened and they know their rights.
Definitely. And again, this is exactly what needs to happen. This is exactly why you pay taxes, so that your government, again, your agencies like yours, protect the rights of workers. Again, if you don't speak the language, if you don't know how to read and write, people will say, well, it says this, right? But you take the time, you fight for the rights, you go let them know what their rights are. Otherwise, again, how many cases we know where an individual hurt their back, they can no longer work, and they're told, well, since you cannot contribute to this company, as a gesture of good faith, we're gonna give you $500, sign right here that you accepted the $500. They don't understand that they're signing their rights away, and then those individuals end up with nothing. I remember of a case where that's exactly what happened here in Sonoma County, where the mayordomo, right, the supervisor, the contractor, wanted to avoid looking bad for this other individual, the owner of the company. And he said, out of my own pocket, I'm going to give you $500, which wasn't even true. And that way they got rid of that worker. That worker ended up leaving for Mexico with $500, well, less, because the bus ticket was part of the cost and everything else. And he left this country with less than what he came with, even though he dedicated all his life to all these huge companies. Or we know of individuals who, again, they start the process of filing a grievance, and then the company identifies them as the quote unquote troublemakers, and they move them to another part of the farm or whatever they're working, so that they stop organizing. And I think that it is important that you take the time every year. You come to talk to us towards the beginning of the harvest season, then you come back at the end of the harvest season and you let us know, are you receiving phone calls? How many people have been victimized? And so it's essential that the word gets out, that your organization is available to fight for individuals. Now, my other question to you all is, well, you mentioned who qualifies as an agricultural worker. Maybe I was driving home right now and I didn't get an opportunity to write all this down. Do I qualify? Do I not qualify? I had this case recently. Should they call your office? And in case they don't qualify, you would direct them perhaps to somebody else?
Yes. So thank you. We want all ag workers. And if you're not sure if you are an ag worker, you can give us a call. Again, our phone number is 1-800-449-3699. Again, we want all ag workers to feel comfortable to seek our services. And not only are we available by phone through our 1-800 number, but we're also creating this farm worker hub where we also are available online. You can go to our website at www.alrb.ca.gov. Again, it's www.alrb.ca.gov for more information. And we're also on Facebook. Please follow us. Please give us a like. We're on Facebook under California Agricultural Labor Relations Board. And again, if you want to call us at our 1-800 number, we are available 7 days a week. We service the state of California. If you cannot come to us, we'll make sure to come to you. We also have language assistance. Not only do we speak English and Spanish, but we also have some colleagues that speak Mixteco. But if there's another need for another language, we also have that available. Our services are free and the calls are confidential. We have attorneys, investigators, secretaries, and outreach coordinators like myself ready to talk to you all and also to take those calls. We're also available to conduct trainings, presentations to the community, to ag workers, and also to the employers, because we all need to know the rights that agriculture workers have under the state of California, and employers also need to know their responsibility under this California state law. Again, our 1-800 number is 1-800-449-3699. Again, that is 1-800-449-3699.
Definitely. And again, that is important. Again, you may be listening to this information and you say, well, again, and what are some of the cases? Again, you just heard one of the examples. There's many examples. The one that I will share in regards to your rights really quickly, this comes from Cal OSHA. And these are the things that should be happening at your job. And if it's not happening, that's also when you call labor law. And that is, for example, with the heat wave that we are dealing with this week, again, the employer needs to provide a training about your rights, about at what temperature you cannot be working out there, the fact that you need to be provided with the right amount of shade, the fact that you have to be provided with drinking water that is fresh, pure, and it says suitably cool and free of charge. Again, years ago, we knew of the case where the mayordomo or the supervisor was charging people, I forget how much it was, for a cup so that they could get the water. The water was free, but he was making money on the side by charging people for the cups. And again, all of this is available. All of this is your right. And if it is one of those days where it's extremely hot, 80 degrees or more, not only are you supposed to be provided with shade according to Cal OSHA, but additional rests. So, you have at least 5 more minutes extra to be in the shade. And if you need a little bit more time, it's important. This is not part of your regular breaks. And again, they have to provide you shade. If this is not happening at your job, you pick up the phone, you call our friends here at Labor Law, and they will be on the case. But you have to be willing to do the work yourself. You have to be willing to report it. Otherwise, nothing changes. And so for the last time, before we end this conversation, one, I want to thank you for being here. But for the last time, I don't know who wants to say it, whether it is Yesenia, attorney at law over there at Labor Law, or Karen, who I've had the privilege of also knowing for many years, or who is an investigator, or Jaylee, whomever wants to share one more time that phone number so that people can write it down and make sure to make that phone call if necessary.
Yes, you can give us a call at 1-800-449-3699. Again, 1-800-449-3699.
Thank you to all 3 of you. And again, the next conversation that we are going to have in maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a month, is going to be about your rights when you're working in unhealthy conditions, such as the fires. The fire season is now a thing in Sonoma County, in Napa County, in other counties in the area. And therefore, we want to make sure that agricultural workers are aware of their rights. Can they force you to go and work in smoky conditions? Do they have to provide you a certain type of masks? All of those things. We'll get more information, and I'm grateful to Labor Law for taking the time and being here with us this afternoon. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Y ahí tiene esa información. There you have that information from our colleagues from Labor Law. And what we're going to do is We're gonna take a minute. We're gonna play a song and we'll be back with you. This is KBBF. Okay,